energy moving right now. I'm just very grateful to be here with our revered guests here today on Guided with Substance every Thursday at 333. Growing a community of light family, just calling in um, everyone that is living in this guided way. That's what guided is all about. It's like we are all now tuning into a deeper level of our true nature, and that is an infinite kind of abyss of exploration and embodiment journey. I feel in my experience that's what it's like. So it's really fun to share what I'm learning, and also of course this whole platform is devoted to the guests that come on to share what they're learning from their journeys. So today we have Dreezy, hello, and we have Morpheus Young
Peace.
here.
What's up, guys?
So we're gonna start with introductions and then we'll flow from there. I had even wrote it on my notes, like ladies first. So if you don't mind, I'd love to have Dreezy introduce herself, and then we can get into your introduction.
That's perfect.
Thank you. All right, Len, we're ready for you.
Peace. And I'm ready for you. Can you hear me well?
Yeah, we're good. Thank you.
Okay, cool. I am Dreezy. I go by Dreezy Love as well as Autry. And I am an accountant, tax preparer, as well as a talisman creator and a space holder. Um, and I am being guided to connect with as many spirits and aligned individuals as possible to gather and assist in organization and assist in foundations of uh, what we do in this lifespan that we are here for currently. And so I am very passionate about maximizing on what me and the people around me and my children and our children are doing on this planet while we are here and maximizing our potentials.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Yes. Oh, Ashe. Beautiful. And Morpheus, would you please share with the community about yourself?
All right, what's going on, guys? My name is Morpheus, also known as the Creative Alchemist, and to be honest, I'm still in the process of evolving and finding myself. But one thing that I'm on a mission to do is just encourage everyone to really keep their inner child alive. And what I mean by that is like when people think about their inner child, like they think about happiness, they think about like kind of just truly being themselves. I believe we live in a world where people kind of lose their inner child and they lose who they are over time because of societal norms and conditioning, and they truly like they lose their happiness because of that. Like I believe there's no reason why, like if you enjoyed dancing as a kid, why you have to stop because you have a corporate job, or if you want to be like a fisher or an artist. Like I just believe as humans we're just completely divine and infinite, and somewhere along the lines like we're kind of pressured into like, in a sense, limiting our potential, and that bothers me inside it. And we're only going to be here for a limited amount of time, and I understand that like life is literally just a journey. So I think we get too attached to the destination so much and we forget how blissful it is. So through my content, I just create videos. I also run a media company with some of my friends, and we create content for brands and influencers here in Los Angeles and for ourselves. But for me on my page, I don't show too much about the business. I kind of just show more about the things that bring me happiness, in hopes that it inspires people to live in their true authenticity and just truly be themselves, and just live life under their standards and not underneath the standards of others.
Mm. Word. Oh, Ashe. I hear you. I'm with you on that.
Work.
For real. Beautiful. Well, one thing so we're gonna flow today, which I really love. I learned how to connect with spirit through freestyle rapping and poetry and stuff. So that's kind of how this whole experience flows as well. And so I'll pull parallels in what both of you are beautiful, beautiful beings that I'm so grateful that you're here. That you both spoke about the finite in this body experience of life. What are we going to do with our time here? And so I love to actually just bridge that to some real life shit. The one thing that I wanted to do today was not ignore like what's going on in the collective, as much as being able to see beyond form, to be seers and to be tuned into like a 5D level of understanding is really fun and beautiful. And there's some real life 3D slash whatever level of trauma looping and things going on the streets. Of course, George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, Ahmaud Aubrey, and many, many others who have lost their lives. I just would love to open space for both of you to share your perspective on death and death by hands of other, specifically in as we know what happened with these beings, and it's a tough thing for me to bring up. I feel a lot about it all, but I would love to create space for you both to share what's on your heart with that.
I feel a spectrum of things, and I feel very fortunate and happy that I can feel the spectrum and still remain grounded and balanced in some sense and find harmony and peace daily. But the spectrum ranges from like that shit is fucked up. I hate it. It makes me very upset and angry. The systems that are created to literally hold a person back because of the color of their skin. And it's super fucking obvious. And excuse my French, but that's how the spectrum for me, as far as my anger goes, it makes me feel that. And so on the flip side of it, understanding really the concept of what death means to me for my belief system, I'm like, fuck that. Now we have more ancestors up there that we can tap into to guide us through how we revolutionize this experience that we are in and change the narrative ourselves. Nobody's going to do it for us, so we need to do it ourselves. And that's always the notion that I have within me anytime something happens. And so on an energetic level, I just feel like I want to sync up on a really massive energetic level and really start to shift things in ways that people that we may not even be able to believe because we've never seen it before. You know what I mean? Like such a grand, massive reality switch up. Like so that's what all of this really, and for me it's our trigger. It's what's triggering us to feel this way. It's what's triggering us to move in that purpose driven mentality, long term driven mentality to create some form of change. And I'm just happy that I am amongst all the star seeds who feel that way.
Bless. Thank you.
Mm. I do. I agree with you completely when you say like we have to do something better or like we're the change. I'm not gonna lie. To just start off, when things like this would happen in the past, prior to like I guess like my spiritual awakening and like how I see the world now, like I would stay silent and I would like kind of just like hope that someone else would do something, or feel I would feel a certain way and not express it or not post on social media because I would, and I'm just gonna call it out, like I was scared, you know. I was scared
Yeah.
because of what I believed other people would say or think about me. But that was before I knew who I was. Because now I know who I am, and it's a huge. I'm definitely not the same person I was before, and I'm so grateful of all my experiences. As far as like what I believe death is for, like I believe in karmic energy, so I believe like what you do upon others will definitely come back to you, if not in this lifetime, another lifetime, or in a different form. It's just energy; it recycles. I also believe that everything happens for a reason, and for me, so I think about it like this: myself, for my spiritual journey, I had to go through like a significant amount of pain, depression, anxiety to even, in a sense, heal. So on a global spectrum, I part of me believes like bad things need to happen for good things to start to prevail a little more. Like you can't have the dark without the light, and it kind of sucks that that's the case. But that's kind of what I've seen to reoccur. I believe that in order for things to change, we need to approach things differently. Like a lot of the stuff that I see on social media really ties into like people not realizing that they're acting out of trauma and they're acting out of fear and scarcity and just seeking revenge, and people sit, like if you pay attention closely, people say things like this have happened over and over and over again, and riots are has been happening over and over again. So it's not like it's the first time. I believe for things to change, like a global conscious shift needs to happen. Like people need to go within themselves before going to others, if that makes any sense. Like and deep down, like, I know love is the answer. I believe we know love is the answer. So if we continue to spread that, the world will be a better place. Like if everyone was treated as family and everyone was treated with respect and everyone was given trust, because some people say like trust has to be earned and not given. I'm the type of person, I trust everyone on the spot until you give me a reason not to. And I believe if people operated like that, like the world would be a lot safer and it would be a better place. As far as death, being like, I guess, like caused by another person, like murder, it's wrong, it's completely wrong. But we have to ask ourselves, why do those things happen? And it happens because of people's consciousness level, because somewhere deep down within their soul, or their upbringing, they think that is okay. And why they think that is okay, that is a problem right there. I really don't think it has anything to do with skin color. I think it has to do with the individual person themselves and their perspective on the world. And it just so happens that people are, for lack of like deep observation, they're just resorting to kind of skin color. And as long as we keep resorting it to skin color, saying things like an eye for an eye, or just seeking justice to get back, like justice will work like in the moment, but it's not really gonna solve the problem, you feel me? So that's pretty much it. I would challenge anyone listening to this to do a lot of a dark work, and like really a lot of shadow work. If you don't know what that is, look up shadow work, and like truly like go within. Because think about when you were a kid, how the world felt. Like you could literally go to Walmart with your mom or your dad, and you'd be happy, like you were happy in any situation. So like, not like, happiness is where you are and love is where you are as well. But that's pretty much all I have to say for now on that question, but hopefully you get what I mean.
I totally get what you mean. I appreciate your flow, and I appreciate the truth flowing through you, and I fully resonate. Uh, Based on where we're headed with that, I love that point you just said too, and I feel like Dreezy has amazing things to share too on going within, before going to others. And I feel like this is a huge thing that came up for me in the last since Saturday, since LA started having the what's it called, the curfew and everything. Is like, yeah, the external noise, not only on social media, but every, whatever level of, we might be tuned in, and also just as empaths, feeling the energy from from all of that's going on here on earth, and the cosmic influence too. But like, I would love to hear what you both have to share around your practices of going within. This platform is also dedicated to us highlighting some of the things that really works, like for us in our journey. So I love what both of you are sharing already is really potent stuff. But like, I would love if you have anything to share on that. Yeah, going within, how to turn down the noise of anything outside of ourselves, and really just find that space within the inner guidance, and however you would describe that for yourself as well.
So for me, I would say, you need to realize like the human being, like the brain is a computer. Like that's how I see it. So if you study like neuroscience or you study the brain, you realize it's a computer. It's input and output. And a lot of people are kind of not realizing that they're filtering things that aren't even from them, like beliefs that aren't even theirs, or thoughts that aren't even theirs, even thoughts about themselves that aren't even theirs. Like some people don't even know themselves because they're just believing perspectives of other people, and they're just subconsciously trying to embody that. So I would say, like for me, how it started was complete silence and distancing myself and being very, very, very antisocial for like a good 6 months, 5 to 6 months. I literally locked myself in my room when I lived at my parents' house prior to living in Los Angeles. Like I was working from home in my mom's basement, and I would only come out of my room to eat and go to the gym and like hang out with my family for a few minutes, and just I was in my room. And while I was in my room, I was either reading, listening to audiobooks that aligned with my long-term goals, or I would also like watch videos from like YouTube creators like Ralph Smart or Teal Swan, and like these people were just sharing a lot of ancient wisdom. And I took that, and I took what worked for me and I applied it to my life. But I would say, definitely silencing the thoughts of other people, because I just felt deep down like the world didn't see me for who I was, and because of that, I didn't see myself for who I was, but I felt who I was, if that makes any sense. Like you can feel when you know who you are, and you can feel your potential, especially when it doesn't matter who's around you, your mom, your dad, they don't know you as well as you know yourself, because they're not around you as much as you are around yourself. So you need to know that you have two voices. Like there's like your conscious voice and your subconscious voice. So I would say those 5 to 6 months, it was me talking to myself and me really just being with myself. and allowing myself to listen to me and asking myself, what do I want from me? Who do I want to be? And really allowing myself to realize, like, I don't have to be anyone I don't want to be, and I can be anyone I want to be, if that makes any sense, and I can literally change. And that came to me through silence. That came through me to just realizing that I was acting very reactive. I was picking up like toxic traits from some of from my parents, feeling like that was okay. And I would say just being a listener and an observer as well, because I know a lot of people from different I guess like racial groups, from different I guess like lifestyles, from lower class to high class, and I would just observe and I would just pay attention, and I would see how people act, how people treat their family. Like for me personally, like a part of me growing up, like my family wasn't the best. Like there was a lot of drama, a lot of stuff, because it got to like a simple thing is me piercing my ears, like that got my parents very mad, and like they wanted to disown me because I'm first gen. So like little things like this, like I felt like suppressed at some point, because every time I try to express myself, like it would get backlash, and that's why I started just staying to myself. And then over time I found myself. So I would say it started also with the book The Secret. Shout out to Fernando Valencia. He gave me that book, The Secret by Rhonda Byrne, and that book in 2015 changed my entire fucking life, like literally. And then from there, I read The Four Agreements, and then Rich Dad Poor Dad. What else? Like I have all these books. By the way, if any of you guys want them, just let me know. I will send them to you for free. And then Seven Habits of Highly Effective People. Like just a lot of self work books from people that have done it. And I'm a true believer, if you want to acquire something, learn from the people that already have it and take what works for you. Like, so that's pretty much that, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, you make total
Mm-hmm.
sense. Thank you, Morpheus. Love it. Yeah, and just to reiterate, he's what a generous, kind, beautiful heart. He's willing to share these books and these resources. So
Definitely.
you'll be able to find Morpheus through all the tags and the highlights later on to come. So stay tuned. And Dreezy, would you like to share on your practice of going within and the value of it and how you came to it? And
Yeah, for sure. I definitely, Morpheus, we went down similar pathways as it relates to, the grand awakening of it all. And I too started to shift, just things that I listened to. I changed things like my homepage from CNN to something more pleasant, and real. Once I started to realize that there was just nothing really there for me to maximize my potential. So, shifting things that I was reading, shifting things that I was listening to, looking at what my beliefs were, what my values and principles were, and exercise. Like, exercise is one of the greatest tools. It teaches you how to discipline yourself, it teaches you how to listen to yourself, it teaches you how to block out other perspectives, because you busting out a sweat, so you're not even trying to hear what anything else is, what anyone else is saying, because you're trying to maintain your breath. So that exercise, I just feel like that if you have no other idea or of a pathway to tune in, start with exercise. And I was doing specifically like Bikram yoga. That was something for me where it was like just me. You're looking at yourself in the mirror while you're trying to achieve these poses, and it's challenging, and it's empowering, and it's, all of the things. So, once I started to just ask myself certain questions, a lot of things really started to become more clear. Like, is the worst thing that can happen to me in my life um, for my partner to cheat on me? Like, is that the absolute worst thing that can happen to me? You know what I mean? Because then it helped me tune into like you're just jealous, or you're just upset because of this and that. You feel rage because of A, B, and C. It helped me identify things. So then breaking away at all of that, knowing that my true insides want to just feel peace and, harmony and, just fun. Um, that's then what I was able to shift into, is like how to be a creator instead of a codependent on what everybody and anything else is being said in the view of my eyes. and allow that to influence me so deeply that, like Morpheus said, I have no idea who I am. And another huge shift for me was having a child. That was a very intentional process that we went through. We, planned to have Solicito. We planned to have our son Soul. And so that kickstarted a huge shift in me of realizing my ultimate power. And the inward process is the most empowering process that you can go towards. Um, Externally, nothing is going to get you to the state of bliss that you can get to if you just look inside yourself. Your job won't do it, your career, even if you're a successful entrepreneur. Will Smith even recently just said something about that. Like, he did it all but still had not healed his trauma, still had not went back and dealt with things that were still feeling of discomfort inside of his spirit. And so um I think we're on a collective basis, all that we're dealing with right now, I feel like it is triggering what is needed, which is for spirits to be healed. So the collective masculine, the collective feminine, but then the energies behind that, the divine masculine, the divine feminine healing, is what's being, kind of stimulated, or what's being stimulated right now. And as a whole, because we're equal parts feminine, masculine, we're healing our spirits. We're getting back to the childlike essences, like Morpheus said. We're getting back to taking things less seriously. You know what I mean? Being more open minded and allowing things to show us what it is that we're supposed to do while we're here, instead of just being, robotic and just dropping into these systems that are created for us to just be robots.
Morpheus, do you have a response to that, or shall I?
I agree. I agree with everything. That's my response to that.
Well, I'd love to jump into two more topics while Dreezy's still on, and then we could go from there. But I know you both had already discussed trauma, and I really love maybe what Dreezy just said about it and everything going on, stirring up the shadow. I've only recently heard from really amazing teachers that I follow. Thank you, Morpheus, for bringing through some of your favorites. Two people that have helped me through the quarantine and just stay anchored in a soul level awareness is Matt Kahn and an astrologer named Adrienne Elise. And I just listened to Matt Kahn's live today at 11:11, and it was him who I first heard the thing of, like, collective dark night of the soul that the planet has been going on through since, with Corona and everything, and then now this is also a part of that in what Dreezy just said as well, of course, to like stir up what all the things that have been unacknowledged or suppressed for every being, whatever melanin tone. And it also, well, so I just wanted to just touch on trauma just briefly before we move into a topic that I'm really excited to hear both of you on. But just anything to address what you feel is going on for maybe, I mean, for individuals or collective, any spectrum of trauma, and what you're both tuned into about trauma and healing trauma, anything that comes up with that, and what you think that this, collective global shift that's happening, part of the ascension, like how it all plays together.
I believe trauma and fear are compasses. Like, I think they're compasses. Like, a lot of people kind of avoid them. I believe trauma and fear are literally compasses to how to find yourself, and also highlighting areas that you need to improve on as an individual to truly level up. Oftentimes when people are put against fear, they immediately try to go the other way and try to avoid it. Traumas is it's a little bit more difficult because traumas most people don't see. You have to really self-reflect to see your traumas, because traumas are just such a normal thing, and it's very easy for people to justify. Fear, on the other hand, like, people are aware that they're afraid of stuff, but because fear sometimes overcomes, I guess, like love and abundance, it's easier for people to avoid it. I would say me, how I identify traumas is whenever I get defensive or whenever I get reactive. That's how I identify traumas, because I'm honestly a very calm person. It takes a lot to get me mad. But like a lot when I was younger, I used to get mad so easily. I used to get frustrated so easily. I used to have tempers. I got put into counseling at school. I would throw stuff. I was just so like frustrated, and I would just like express myself in a very aggressive way. I would talk back in a very rude way. And that's because like I felt like I wasn't being understood, and also wasn't seeking to understand myself or other people. I was just like, if people gave me energy that I didn't like, I would just return it right back. Where now, if people gave it to me, I give them love because I feel a lot more compassion for them because I can see their traumas because of how much I've worked on my own individual traumas. So it's like it's very peaceful, and it's very, I guess, like fulfilling when you work through your traumas, because it does take time, and it's not going to be perfect and easy, but there's definitely light at the end of the tunnel. But like I said, and how to identify your traumas is, no, ask yourself, whenever you get defensive about something, or whenever something like makes you boil up, or whenever you realize like you're acting out of character, more than likely there is a trauma there, or there's something that's sensitive. Like if you notice you're sensitive about something, because when you truly step into like divinity and like that type of consciousness, you realize that like it's all really irrelevant, and half the things that trigger you are like, for example, whenever I used to get triggered, I realized like I was reacting to someone else's reality and perspective, because now that I understand like everyone's just living in their own world, kinda, like a lot of the stuff that gets inflicted, like if someone says something about you, they're just merely expressing how they see you. That doesn't really mean that's who you are. So that's what I'm saying, like when you know yourself, like you just have so much peace, and you have, in a sense, compassion. Like I have compassion for so much people. Like if someone was to cut me off while I was driving or curse me out, like I'd probably just laugh right now, versus before I would probably chase them and like try to flip them off. Now I'll probably give him a hug. Like, and it's surprises. Like, quick stories, when I was younger, my father and I, we would bump heads so much, like literally all the time. Like literally, eye for an eye was like our relationship at one point. And let's say like he yelled at me because he got mad that I did something, and I would just yell back. And let's say if he threw something, I would throw something back. And then once I started like realizing like that's not what I wanted. Like I was honest with myself, like I didn't want that. Like I wanted love and peace and harmony, and I had that at one point, and then as a teenager it went away, and then it's back now, and it's back now because of how I changed my perspective. Like I remember one time my dad like lost his temper and he yelled at me, and then as a result, after I started working on myself, I kind of just said, you know what, you're right, I'm sorry, and I walked away. Literally 20 minutes later, he walked into my room and he apologized to me. He's like, I'm sorry for acting this way, and you were right. See, younger me in that same exact situation would have retaliated, and it would have just spiraled into something bigger and bigger. And the same thing that I just expressed that happened with that personal experience with my father, I see that happening in the world with police brutality, people getting pulled over and being aggressive with cops, and cops being aggressive back. It's just a lot of ego and a lot of people thinking they're better than other people. And it's just, that's why I feel like it's just one loop. Like if people work on themselves enough, they can see how their traumas are getting in the way of them actually like experiencing life and bliss and love. But yeah, that's my take on trauma and I guess fear.
I completely agree with
Yeah.
all of I and I've even experienced a lot of what you just explained, Marcus. It's crazy. I'm like, I feel really synced up with your experience. I started to self-reflect. I started to observe. I started to notice and acknowledge things for what they were. And I decided that I was going to tune into who I was as a person and find my truth and my true nature, and not allow anybody to influence that, you know? And so with that decision is how everything else kind of flourished. It was the openness to see, you know, moments where I was triggered and choose not to judge myself for it, but just to go through it. Like, what is it that needs to be resolved? You know what I mean? Like, take on the challenge of identifying your triggers so that you can communicate more effectively, you know. So the talks that I was having with myself were like of really taking accountability, because I realized I was being more judgmental towards myself and not really putting in the same effort and more to do the work to just resolve. versus allowing things to repeat and recycle and act in the same way, but then still feel, upset and sad and judging myself and judging others and just like not wanting to talk and not wanting to be social or be around people. And just noticing that I was like, this doesn't feel good. So something needs to change. And so making a decision and then choosing, to take on the work load that comes with that. Um, and just being more gentle with myself, you know? It's just like smoke some weed, have some tea, get you a little pastry, like chill out. You know what I'm saying? It's like I'm tripping on things that like are not life, they're irrelevant to this life that I'm here to live. You know what I mean? Like such minute pieces to the whole of what is happening, and I can feel that, you know what I mean, now so clearly. But that's what I was feeling before, that I couldn't identify, and why I was feeling, more um judgmental than empowered by, okay, this makes me upset. What are my boundaries? Sit with that. Understand what how do you show up in this situation, and how do you, set your boundaries that, stick to your principality. And going through those motions, going through those steps, which is the most empowering, process that I've experienced, and that I believe people can experience, just by sitting with yourself and not being so judgmental of other people and yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I can't agree with that anymore. Like if you're really trying to like evolve and you're really trying to like level up, you have to do two things. I feel like you definitely have to spend a lot of time alone and with yourself and your thoughts, and you also have to slowly start surrounding yourself with people that see the world the same and that are after the same thing. One thing that I messed
Yep.
up on is trying to have people evolve with me, and you need to
Mm-hmm.
realize that everyone has like their own journey and everyone grows at their own rate, so you really can't force people to see what you see. Everyone sees it at their own time. The
Mm-hmm.
only thing that you can do is love them. Like the definition of true love is unconditional, and it's just really just accepting them for who they are and just being
Mm-hmm.
patient with them. Like you have to be patient and not try to change people, because I've made the mistake of trying to like encourage people. Like if I had like an insight and like an aha moment spiritually or in any type of way, then I'd be like, yo, like let's you got to do this, you got to do this. Oh, why aren't you doing this? And then they're not. It's not their time. So you just gotta be patient and love them through it. And that's what I would say. But definitely isolating yourself is a big thing. I think a lot of people are afraid to be alone, so they're always seeking
Mm-hmm.
to be comforted or around other people. Like I know some people, like they always have to be with someone. Like they as soon as they're alone, like it's a problem. And that's because those thoughts are slowly starting to creep back in, so they're trying to distract themselves from the thoughts that are actually going to help them
Mm-hmm.
evolve.
And even beyond that, with what's happening now, with people not going to work and things like that, I'm like, from where my perspective is, I'm like, this is your time to find your purpose. Like you've been going to work for the, da da da. Now you can get the unemployment and find your purpose. But I'm realizing that, that's a difference in perspective. That's a difference in vibration. And, just seeing how like literally, folks don't know or want to work towards finding their purpose or believe that they have a purpose here, while, through their life while they're living. And that for me is what's very interesting, and that's the thing for me that I feel like um has helped me pinpoint, you know what it is that I want to attract, as far as the energies and the beings that I'm building with, you know high belief systems, high belief systems in like natural systems, and um just finding your route, understanding that everybody has their own route, has their own journey, and acknowledging and empowering and finding ways to support that as a collective.
Yeah, this puts us right straight into the closing piece while Dreezy's still on. I just want to acknowledge as well, like when she and I spoke last night, we talked about holding a space of nurture. It came to me recently to just like go ahead and not be humble. Humility can be a detriment for how big our soul's mission is here. So I'm just gonna go ahead and say it. I consider myself a master nurturer, and the latest thing that I'm doing is soul fluency guide.
Mm-hmm.
So I support people in really finding that inner inner voice and finding that soul's truth expression and moving that into fluency, as in it just is embodied and we live this way and live guided every day based on navigating by resonance. All to share, just like Morpheus said, and dreezy both highlighted this piece on non-judgment. Like wherever someone's at our journey, we're all evolving at different rates. So just allowing people to be where they're at and just welcoming, staying open no matter what, but also like being flexible to let go of and be non-attached to if someone we really love needs to learn their lesson, and we may need to just, not intervene. But this is the closing piece that I'm really excited to share because you both also already mentioned community, right? And the tribe that we surround ourselves with. So last night, Dreezy was talking about she wants to orient towards moving as a unit. We were speaking about crew, like how fun it is to roll deep as a crew of light workers, as a crew of awake and aware beings. And she has a lit community, hands in the soil, and I'm sure just like offshoots of all kinds of amazing brands and people doing their thing, having a lot of fun. So fun and adventure is a huge piece in what I've been learning about this, doing this awake, aware human growth thing, as challenging and uncomfortable as that can be. Like tapping into a sense of adventure and fun can really just like liberate the energies back into like the flow and the synchronicity. So I love to invite either of you to speak on your feeling on tribe and who you surround yourself with, what you see in the future. And Julie, specifically, I wanted to ask you what you were seeing, and if you could elaborate, because maybe it'll give Morpheus some ideas too about crew and building crew and how we want to like create more collectives to support each other professionally, so we can be more financially free and really be freed up to do our soul's work. And we're all like actively in that journey right now. So just curious, Dreezy, maybe you could start us off and then.
Yeah, I definitely am in the seat of driving how we're circulating our money, driving the economics, driving the energy and understanding of value, and as it relates to individual offerings, understanding that bartership is uh, of high like quality exchange, and generating ideas and planting seeds with people as it relates to that is what I'm really passionate about. And so we have a plethora of people who are around us that want to do tons of things, and at the pit of it, everybody just wants to create village, everybody wants to create their own society, everybody wants to create, develop their own land, they want to live the way they want to live, holistically, freely. And so that is where I stand with things. I want people to understand that it's important how we're spending our money. It's important that we source locally and within our community. And it's important that we identify our healing tools. And it's not the hospital or prescriptions. And it's not, going to the nail salon all the time where it's toxic in there. It's like, go get a massage, go get some Reiki, go sit with somebody who can help you enhance your vibration, enhance your life. Go sit with a financial advisor. Like spend your money in these ways and look for those resources within people that you know. If you don't know them personally, start asking people who are around you to find them within your community.
And just so I make sure I'm answering this the right way, were you asking kind of what's the value of community, or like our perspective on like having a tribe and who we surround ourselves with? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, pretty. That's a piece of it. And what do you see as in this moment, and as you move forward, and even just as you witness, whether it's in your personal experience, but just like what direction do you feel humanity would be best served to move towards with relation to tribe, to community?
I would say, I think everyone knows this, but just to reiterate, who you surround yourself with is very important, and who you give your time is very important. To me, time is more valuable than money. Like money, you can get back in any way. It's literally just a piece of paper. It's not as significant. It's merely just a resource. I believe people put too much value into money and not as much into time and who they're spending their time with. I would say hang around people that inspire you and make you feel good. People that you feel can allow you to be who you are. People that allow you to express yourself without judgment, and people who, if they don't see you for who you are, they at least are willing to try to see you for who you are instead of trying to compress. Because I believe as humans, we are constantly changing and evolving. And when people know you at a certain point, they're going to try to just keep you as the version that they knew you or met you at, and not realizing that we have big dreams, we want to grow, we want to evolve. And there's certain people, if you just start expressing this around them, like they're going to try to like gaslight you or kind of just belittle you. Those are the types of people you can't give your energy and time to, because they're going to slow down your evolution process. So you have to be very conscious of this, because like what you express and what people express back to you is an exchange of energy. So just being aware of that. And also to tie back into Audrey, kind of what she was saying is like the nail salon things and stuff. What inspired, what came to mind when she was saying that is like, materialistic things is what popped in my mind. Materialistic things are awesome and they're super dope. However, like there are people out there when they're not feeling good, and they're feeling depressed and anxiety, and they're feeling all these negative emotions, they resort to external things such as like buying stuff at like luxurious stores, or going out to eat a lot, which is okay. There's nothing wrong with eating, but it's more so what's the motive and incentive behind it. So I just think just being aware of like why we're making our decisions, because sometimes people will go like on a shopping spree when after a breakup, instead of like truly going within and feeling through their emotions. It's almost like they're going around their emotions instead of through it. So I would invite you to allow yourself to feel certain things, and go through it. Like it's okay to cry, it's okay to be depressed, it's okay. Like, these are just feelings. You are not your feelings. Your feelings are merely just experiences. I feel like some people don't acknowledge that. Like what you feel is just an experience. Happiness is not going to last forever. Sadness is not going to last forever. But if you are aware of it, like you can control your mindset to truly control how you show up. As far as what was the second part of your question? Like, where do I see humanity going? Kind of.
Yeah, what do you see as the best future trajectory towards like working together, cooperatives, like just like I mean, it's some towards that, but just like just because just to tie back to what we were saying earlier, just around maybe feeling isolated before, or the value of spending time alone, but what also can be the value of spending more time around like-minded, and what how does that expand or amplify, and
Mm-hmm.
what do you see for that trajectory? Like, what's your vision?
I would say once you're past the state of actually like isolation, and truly identifying what you want, you definitely want to surround yourself with other people. The human being is a social being. Like without social interaction, like people tend to die sooner. Like look at an infant baby. When a baby's born, if it's not around its mother and being nurtured and cuddled, even if it's being fed, like they've done studies on it, like it will die. Like the human being needs to be around people, and it's an affectionate being. I would say when you're allowed around other people, like around allow your this is something I need to work on a little bit more too. Is allow yourself to truly express yourself. I believe people don't express themselves when they're around other people, and it's so weird because subconsciously other people will pick up that you're not expressing yourself, thus creating like a weird vibe. Have you ever got like an awkward vibe or like a weird vibe that goes back and forth? That's because so people are sensing like that you're just not really showing up. So like if you want to laugh, if you want to giggle, if you want to say something, say something. So like just like really express yourself and allow people to express yourself when you're around people.
I'd love to riff a little more and
Mm-hmm.
have hear your thoughts, Morpheus, on feelings. And so what you were saying around feelings, and that just because I feel like there's so much intensity going on, and I'm sure people are feeling a lot. And I heard what you said, and I resonate with what you said on just letting yourself feel, and knowing that that's a passing it's a passing emotion. One of my favorite teachers, Ben Pino Masao, he says, yeah, pretty much everything in physicality, so much of life as we experience it through human bodies, is an appearance. From circumstance to feelings to thoughts, like it just comes and it goes. It appears and it's gone. There's an eternal aspect, which is the witness that sees and feels and senses it all. Um, but I wonder if you would share any kind of like things that you've noticed helped you just really anchor back into a space of like letting feelings come and go, like rise and fall. Because I feel like a lot of, for me in my own personal process, I mean, it happens almost every day that I'll get caught, is even as conscious as I am, and I try to bring my awareness to it.
Mm-hmm.
But like feelings will take on, and I'll just be like, okay, yeah, I've gotten better in the last year for sure. I just letting myself feel grief or letting myself feel anger. and then, and watch it dissipate, or just allow it to dissipate. But like, I just wonder if you have anything to offer in terms of like what practices you have with that.
Oh yeah. Oh, thank you. I love the question. Um, I would say have like a ritual, like have a ritual that allows you to step into your higher self. Because I'm not gonna lie, like the way that I'm on this call right now, I'm not always like in peak state. I'm not always feeling good. I'm not always happy. Sometimes I'm down. Sometimes like my lower self and the person who I was fighting not to be tries to peek back out and creep back out and sabotage me every now and then. So have a morning routine or a ritual that allows you to really step into peak state. Like one of my mentors, Anthony Armini, shout out to him. Like he helped he shared with me a morning formula, and I literally read it every day, and it's who I want to become, but in the future sense. So I have what's called a morning formula, and parts of it are excerpts from like very powerful leaders, and it's me just talking to myself and like who I want to be and who I want to show up as. So like how what happens to me, let's say my advice is like if you are realizing like you're giving into your emotions too much, and you want to like really kind of have, I guess, like a home base or a place to go to, like to in a sense navigate through your feelings a lot easier and not be as reactive to them, I would highly recommend the simplest thing that most people don't do is just breathe. Like take a deep breath, like breathe into your diaphragm. Like a lot of people just breathe into like right here, like short breaths, like actually like fill your lungs with so much air and like just breathe and calm. Your body's gonna calm down after that, and you're just gonna think a lot more clearly. As far as like the morning formula thing, the morning formula helps me get into what's called peak state. Like if you guys follow Tony Robbins, like, and you go to any of his seminars, you realize like they talk about peak state a lot, and peak state is just like, in a sense, another way to say like your higher self, or a way to show up as the best version of yourself, and a way to show up as the most confident version of yourself. For everyone, they do this different. Some people say like you move around, you jump, you yell. Everyone has different triggers. For me, like I meditate, I listen to like this abundance frequency on YouTube for about 5 to 10 minutes, maybe 2 minutes if I don't have enough time. And then I just breathe and I think about things that I'm grateful for. I think about things that I want. And when I say I think about things that I'm grateful for, like I don't just think about it, I actually feel the gratitude. So to give you an example of what I'm talking about is when I was in, I believe it was fifth grade or fifth or sixth grade, when I went to this school called Midtown. I tried out for the basketball team. I made the team, made varsity. However, I didn't pass my physical. And I didn't pass my physical because the person at that time, the nurse discovered that I had a heart murmur. And the heart murmur prevented me from being allowed to play. So they told me I have to go to a cardiologist and get it checked out. And everything turned out fine. But one day when I was meditating, like, and I was thinking about things that I was grateful for, I was thinking about that nurse. Like I was actually thinking about that nurse, and I was like, I'm super grateful for her, and that she discovered that I had a heart murmur at that age, because if she didn't, like things could have went a different way, like I could have never went to the cardiologist. So as I was thinking about, I was thinking when I was in that room and she was like checking me, and I just started thinking about her, and I was just like hoping she was doing, in a sense, like praying for her in a positive way. Like I just hope she's doing good, sending her positive energy, and like just truly feeling grateful for that experience, because I don't know what would happen if I never had that experience. So that's what I mean. I think gratitude is something we feel. It's not just like, oh, I'm grateful for this, I'm grateful for that. Like actually feel the gratitude and feel that feeling, because it allows you to receive more. Like how you treat the things you have really dictates what you get next. Like a lot of people want, but they're just not like grateful for what they have, and then they struggle to realize why they don't get what they want next, is because you're not being grateful for what you have already, and there's someone out there killing for what you want, or I'm killing for what you have already. So gratitude is something that keeps me level headed and keeps me moving, and then also envisioning who I am and who I want to become, and some of my goals. And yeah, I would say have a morning formula, have your own personal credo, like talk about the things you want, and just write it out. That's pretty much what I would say about that. Is Does that help answer your question, kind of?
Yeah, yeah, and you brought in there too about the you called it a home base, and I call that like an anchoring wisdom too,
Mm-hmm.
like I was telling you about, like a mantra, just like gratitude is wonderful, breath is wonderful. And yeah, and if you do, yeah, like I love your suggestion with the morning formula, or just like I think in my course I'm in right now, they might call it a freedom statement or something. Just like something that you can memorize that's short, that you could just anchor yourself back into the truth, like the truth of what you feel is of the highest for you, and that you're like tuning back into that frequency. So
About you, like, what about like your journey? How was it for you? How do you, what are some of your anchoring points, and like
yeah,
how do you handle
wow.
things?
Well, thank you so much for asking. Yeah, one of the first times that it came to me in terms of me hearing a phrase that a mentor of mine used once, she said the words. Her name's Luna Love. She said the words to check in with yourself. Is this a self-honoring choice? Like anything that you're about to do, or anything you're about to say, or anything like at all. Just like, am I interacting with this person? Uh, about to eat this food. What we choose to put in our bodies. Just like just taking a pause before we move into something and go with it is like, is this honoring the highest for myself and my body and my mind and spirit. So that was the first time like I was able to use that phrase as that check-in. And then from there I just started hearing really, I mean, I've always kind of just been a sponge in that way of just like being able to just feel these deep levels of resonance with things people would say. And that's why we're even on this platform, Guided with Substance, because I was having such potent conversations with people one-on-one or groups or whatever. And I was just like, wow, the medicine coming through of us just being together and just being natural and just sharing what we're learning. Or it wasn't even always a context like that. It would just be like a normal conversation, but we're just like so devoted in this path of like really becoming better humans and better and just like and serve our community, serve our families, serve all life. Really, all life is sacred. So just being able to just be around like-minded people, like, yeah, there's just like so much potency going on there. So yeah, that's kind of how it was for me, was just like engaging with all kinds of beings. Like I wouldn't necessarily just say throughout my journey and born and raised in LA, I've been, immersed with all kinds of communities. I really just enjoyed being with all ages of people, all types of energies, um and I really started to gravitate towards artists and creatives and did a lot of jam sessions and stuff. But like, all to say, um it opened me, everything in my journey opened me more and more to be able to feel resonance more immediately and like notice when my heart is open or closed. And so these anchoring statements help me like reopen my heart, is how I feel it too. So I think some of my latest ones right now, let me see. Hmm. Well, one of the prayers, I'll just bring this through from my master wing, my teacher, Master Wing. He's a master musician. He would always say, Spirit, be free through me, and just that prayer of just like at any moment of the day, just like tuning back into the channel, tuning back into allowing light to move through and express in any way, not just vocally, but just spirit be free through me, show me the way, show me the path to how, I could be of the highest light and service in what's happening. So that is another example. But yeah, thanks for asking.
I'm curious to know, like, for you, like, what do you personally do to keep like your inner child alive? So like, if I had to talk about myself, like for me, if I align with my inner child, it'd be like dancing, making videos, playing games, in a sense, making people feel good. Because I realize I am very passionate about trying to make people feel better when I notice they're not feeling good. So comforting. So like, for you, like, what are some of your things that bring your inner child out, or like that make you happy and like in the moment?
Thank you so much. Yeah, dance is definitely a big piece, but just being in nature, because I notice preciousness very easily. So when I'm in a natural environment, I'll just be like loving on the plants and just all the little details. So yeah, just all the little details. So yeah, most first and foremost, it would be like being in nature, from being on the shore side to hiking in the mountains here in Topanga, just like. And so I'm a treasure hunter. So like even right here, I mean, I have all these crystals right by me, but a lot of my like I found this on the beach. Like I did a ceremony on 12/12 on Topanga Beach, and this is like unusual, but I found this smoky quartz pyramid on the beach. Um, Yeah, and then
So
like, oh, this right here. Thank you for asking. I love this question. Yeah, this definitely brings out the child. This I found in it wasn't Boulder, Colorado, but it was like near Boulder. I think it was
mm-hmm.
called El Dorado Springs. But I was on a microdose, but like I don't know if you could see it, but it looks like a being, like he's on some rocks and like there's a off planet looking like non-human being and like a little moon.
Mm.
And I just saw this whole little scene on this rock, and I'm just like, what? I was just like all into it. So I try not to affect nature and like take like just treasure hunt and just like start taking everything out of nature. But if there's a little piece and I do a blessing, like I often will also make mandalas, like flower
Mm.
mandalas, and I usually just what's the word, like scavenger,
Yeah.
just stuff around that's already like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't take flowers to do it or whatever, but like, so yeah, making nature mandalas, the earth offerings is a part of it as well. All of that, yeah. Thank you for asking. You actually reminded me, like,
Yeah, I mean, I'm asking because you've been asking a lot of questions for us, and I want to learn a lot about you. And when I like meet people for the first time, I ask them two things. I ask them like, what's your passion and what's your skill set? So like your passion being something that whenever you do it, like you're truly immersed in the moment, and it makes you completely happy. Like time is irrelevant, and like you just enjoy doing it, like and it brings you complete joy. And your skill set would be something that you're good at. So skill set pretty much whenever people come to you for this specific skill set because you're just a lot better at it than them, or it just comes to you very easily. For some people, their passion and their skill set is like it's two things combined, or for some people their passion and their skill set could be separate. Like for me, my skill set is definitely videos and like creating content and any type of stuff that has to do with videos in general, because I've been doing it for mad long. So like the graphics that I sent you, like I made like literally like probably 10 minutes before I sent it to you. So it's just like that what's what I would consider like my skill set. So like for you, what would you say like your passion and your skill set would be?
oh, thank you, Morpheus. It's fun. Um, yeah, thank you. Passion is definitely listening. Like my whole practice in all of as many contexts across life, and pretty much just my go-to operation of how I function is listening first. And
Mm-hmm.
so, especially in nature, especially like in conversation, I'm just every context of life. And so, just really opening and like releasing anything that came before and just being fully present and listen, and especially to the unseen, and to really like tune in.
Mm-hmm.
And so so from that really ignites my passions in so many ways, because it allows me to attune to the environment I'm in most immediately, and also like, in wider circles from what I'm tuning into, like in community through social media. I don't know, not so much social media is like a new thing for me to be involved with, but I guess what I'm getting at is just like it ignites my passions, because then I'm able to serve better, because I'm like like actively and intentionally listening, and just like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, this person may need support in this way. These people could work together. So that moves into my skill set a bit, because I consider myself like a harmony weaver. So be through the deep level of listening, I could feel resonance on a deep level as well, which allows me to make introductions, and like, so some people call that being a connector, but I feel it as a whole new level, because it's like to me like a quantum level of it, because of how much resonance and vibration and frequency comes into play with just how I live. So whenever I like take the time to make introductions and bring people together, which is part of my company, which is called Intention Amplified,
Mm-hmm.
is being able to make like now that I know your skill set, thank you for asking too, and I'd love to hear more about and see more of your work. But just like being like, oh damn, and like I feel Morpheus's heart and vibration, and I see what he's capable of, and like now from this point on, now that we're connected, like as I people I already know, people I'll meet, like then it just all comes together. It's like, oh, these vibes, like these two could really work together, or
Mm-hmm.
these crews, like more than one, just like whatever level of collaboration. So
Yeah.
moves towards that. And just to riff real quick on Intention Amplified, it really is like a diverse set of intentions. I work with so many different types of people, and it's really about what is that soul level like calling and clarity and distilled, like, because my work right now is focused on helping people discern from ego and soul based, voices, and and ideas and inspirations, because I think we talked about it at one point in this live for sure, is just like, well, where is it coming from when I have this idea to
Mm.
say something? Or, is it, to me, I started to, not to put labels on things, but I saw these two columns or these two ideas explaining 3D orientation and 5D orientation. And, it was just like all qualities of 5D being like unconditional, non-judgment, like open-hearted, compassionate, just like all these states and qualities that I really feel so resonant with and identified with. And 3D being fear-based and judgment and a lot of that kind of
Mm-hmm.
vibe. Yeah, so being able to just like discern that, and then finding that intention that is more like in that purified state, and then amplifying that, because if we prematurely amplify an intention that's like based on in some ego thing, even if it's subtle, then like based on trying to prove something or whatever, like then that's what you're amplifying, and that's not like the best use, to me, in my opinion, like of someone's energy. Like that's not going to lead to the most fulfillment. And yeah,
Hmm.
so
What
that's
do,
a bit.
what would you say leads to the best fulfillment?
Yeah, the highest levels of fulfillment. I mean, we were talking about earlier about like adventure and fun, and tuning into a sense of that. I feel like that's what one of my teachings too is, like navigating by resonance. So go into what feels good, moving towards what feels good on a moment to moment basis, whether that's just even if you are spending time alone, like it feels good to drink water right now, it feels good to like this sage right now, but also like of course in environments, like especially in a festival kind of, that's a fun way to play on a playground of like all the options available, but just in day-to-day life. And so wait, what's the question again? Oh yeah, fulfillment. So I
Yeah,
feel like,
for
yeah,
you.
that's where you find fulfillment, is when you follow that, because then you'll might meet someone that's just like so moving to you to just have, like you might have a 2-minute conversation with someone, or just catch a smile, or just see all these little sweet moments and witness it, or engage. But I feel like to get to those places of synchronicity, following resonance and following the good feeling is the key to that. And that's the most fulfilling thing to me, is the small moments.
Mm-hmm.
And then that also can lead to so many possibilities that, something like Dreezy was saying earlier too, like about we would have never seen that coming, or like the earth that we're moving into, like the new earth, the 5D earth, like this is not a possibility that's ever like manifested on earth before. This is like, we're living, our souls have gathered here right now for a very big reason and an intentional reason, to bring this into fruition. And so that to me is the most fulfilling thing. And as we shed the layers of all the bullshit, this is like our natural state, and we will inevitably, and there's just like no way around it, that we're going to be creating this. It's happening, this is all part of the process, 5D new earth, where all these qualities and states of being are just like our natural innate nature, can just be free and be liberated, and we can share in that pleasure, and that's fulfillment to me. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I love it. I love it. I love it. So would you say, I know you were saying like your passion would be listening. Do you align that with your skill set as well, or do you find your skill set to be separate? Or is it the same thing for you?
I think it's very aligned, very similar.
The same thing.
Skill set is very wide. Skill set's very diverse. I couldn't even really speak to it because I'm very versatile and adaptive. Like, I love for you, if you're interested, I work with also a lot of indigenous elders, including, and so there's a wisdom council every Saturday, but a lot of Mayan medicine. So Tata Jose Munoz, he does these Mayan calendar readings, and it's actually right here, one of my glyphs, because since 2012 there's a new calendar that is combined 23 lunar calendars from ancient wisdom lineages,
Mm.
and the Tibetan Hopis and the Mayans specifically came together and created this. So if you've ever had a Mayan astrology reading, it's partial to what is available now, because this combines so many systems. And so one of my glyphs is the master adapter. It's right here. Aku. So I think a lot of us actually have it. So if you ever want a reading, we also, each of us are part of a tribe. So in terms of like our glyph and our mission, and like, so me, I'm like in the harmony realm. So there's peace, unity, joy, balance, and harmony.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's what you're encoded with and to embody on this planet. So like if you're joy, then you finding your fulfillment is really going to be about bringing joy. That's like your service. To me, I'm harmony, so I'm part of weaving that, and part of
Mm.
contributing.
I resonate with that for sure. I definitely want to check that out. What was the thing that you were talking about? Was it like a weekly thing you were saying?
Oh
Um,
yeah, it's every Saturday at 2 p.m. and it's called the it's called the like Jaguar Wisdom Telemission channel. It's really fun. But there's a lot of different elders from it's a global call and they do a lot of prayers. Everyone it's like a talking stick circle so everyone gets to share like either music or just speak what's on their heart and then there are many elders from many traditions that get on and share what they're noticing and in their in the lens of their tradition or whatever they feel like speaking as well.
no, I'll check it out whenever I can. It's
Yeah.
exciting. I'll probably text you about it.
Yeah, yeah. And if anyone in your community reaches out with interest, yeah, feel free to just let's all share all of this.
That's awesome. How do you go about finding the people that you put on like your podcast or your show? Like, how do you normally
Well,
come across them?
God, thank you. I was almost gonna. I didn't. I felt like I might presence it, but I didn't. And because meeting you was the first time I've done it this way. Because like I said, I'm pretty new to like being really active on social or more active on social media, but
Mm-hmm.
it is. It's the same. I listen and I feel and I resonate, and I'm like, this started a year and a half ago, and I had this big Google spreadsheet of all the people I wanted to interview because I've just met so many amazing beings, and so I still have that spreadsheet, and ever since I made that, of course, I meet interesting and amazing, intelligent, really conscious beings. Like it's just endless. There, these souls are everywhere. So I just feel that resonance, feel their heart, feel their passions, like you were saying, and also intelligence and level of consciousness. And I'm like, wow, this is how I started talent scouting unwittingly back in like 10 years ago
Mm-hmm.
in LA. And it was the same thing. It was like, wow, I feel your soul through like so effortlessly coming through you right now, like on stage, whatever, like on an open mic downtown LA or just on the street, whatever it is. Like, and I just felt compelled. It was something I couldn't even help. I couldn't stop it. I just like, oh, I want to put you on a platform. Like, so I started booking artists in Leimert Park at the art walk every Sunday or every last Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Chaos Network, Project Blow. This is like the heart of the origin of LA hip hop roots right there, and so many other amazing artists in African American enclave right there in the heart of LA. Blessings to Ben Caldwell, one of my favorite elders on the world, but yeah, all to say that that's how it happened. And even I've interviewed him twice. So it's just like about feeling the potency of the soul
Kind of the
life.
energy, so it happens
Yeah.
organically.
Yeah. And just be like, yo, like, I would love to just share your voice. Like, I don't know how many people are going to tune in. This thing's going to grow organically.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the vibes are right. Like, no matter what, these things are going to be archived and people are going to come back to it. And the wisdom I feel that's coming through is timeless. I really do.
Definitely,
Mm-hmm.
definitely. I was gonna say, what books would you recommend?
Ooh, you're great. I love it. I have some right here. I'll just like pull a few of these right over here. Okay. This is all good. These are all great. Well, let's do top. This to bring it to practicality. A dear friend of mine, Micah, he created this very short book about not on NVC, if anyone knows Marshall Rosenberg, but nonviolent communication. Because, and this is like a very short, brief thing of the 4 steps of NVC. Because my favorite teacher I brought up earlier, Matt Kahn, he says, as high, spiritual, evolved, ascended we can be, awakened to everything, like a lot of us are very advanced souls.
Mm-hmm.
It's true. The actual, it's not I wouldn't call it, I don't like resonate with the word testing, like the universe is testing. It's more like an opportunity to practice what we say, what we learn, and also what we say we're about, and everything, and being integrity is in the realm of interacting with other humans through conscious communication, period. Like,
Mm-hmm.
when it comes down to it, you can meditate and you can stay isolated, and I spent a lot of time solo. I still do to this day. And the most potent way that we can actually put our lessons and everything that we're embodying to like real action is through our communication. So this is NVC or this book. If you want a copy, let me know. I'll just share a couple here. These both have to do with the wisdom of Yeshua. This is a channeled book. It's called Love Without Conditions. And this author, he channels Yeshua and his teachings. and there's several books he's written, but his name's Paul Farine.
If I was to say my biggest takeaway from The Secret would be like your thoughts become things, and don't use the word not when you're trying to communicate it. Because for example, when people have like a tendency to always talk about what they don't want, right? They even when they like they're just very passive and they have an issue, or because how people are programming linguistically, like they can't even communicate what they want properly. For example, if I was to say like in high school, like if people are going into a class, they'll say things like I don't want to fail that test, or like you're not good at this. Like if you don't want to fail the test, like what I learned from The Secret, like don't say I don't want to fail the test, say I want to do well, I want to pass the test. So that's like my biggest thing. So like ever since I pointed that out in The Secret, like I've changed the way that I speak. And I also am very observant of like when people speak, the words that they choose to use, and whether they're empowering or not. Like people say like I'm not good at this, or I don't want this to happen, like I don't want to fall, or I don't want to this. So stop talking about what you don't want, because the mind doesn't operate that way. Because if you're saying I don't want this, you're actually thinking about the thing you don't want, and thus you're attracting it. So you have to think about what you do want and speak in those terms. So that's my biggest takeaway from like The Secret. Even though that book has a lot of other things, that's like the first thing that comes to mind as a lesson whenever I think of that book. And that's like
Yeah,
what I got from it.
I feel you. Thank you. Yeah, well, I can speak to that for this book because that one I was like just more it coded in me because the other one like was really potent as well, and I'm sure it's in me. But this one, like in the title itself, the Book of Knowing and Worth, and I've just most recently my biggest lessons have been about self worth and worthiness and the unlimited value that is within each of us, like period. And so one thing that really strikes me with this about knowing, it's like the inner knowing. It's like beyond hope. Like I don't even use the word hope, so language specifics, but like I've started to expire or eliminate words from my vocabulary. One of them was hope. Replace hope with trust. And then beyond trust, there's knowing. Because when you know something, when you know you're here for a purpose, when you know like what's calling you, then that's undeniable, and that's just what it is. And so that is what I would say is highlighted in this one, is like just tuning into the frequency of knowing and moving from a place of knowing, and how much more potent you can really just like navigate the world like that, and also have an impact just by your frequency coming from that, and just also really attuned and into your knowing of your worth, and that you're all there's so much value to me. Like sometimes some words confuse me, but I don't interchange worth and value, but it's related to me. And so the value of each of our souls and how precious we all are, and just remembering that, and just like shedding the things that are in the way of seeing or sensing that, like, yeah.
That's dope. I'm excited to see like everything that you do moving forward. I don't even know like how you found my page, but I'm grateful you did. And
Yeah.
it's super dope.
Yeah, I think you were just on my feed. Like, I might try to trace it back, but yeah, I don't know either. But I was just like, I saw one of your posts and I was just like, I read the caption maybe, and I was like, damn, yes, 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 all of this. And then I just clicked around on your page. So I'm so
That's
happy
awesome.
that,
You got to be grateful for social media. I'm super
yeah,
grateful for that. So I think like it's a tool. I feel like some people don't understand how to use it, or like they look down on it because so many people like hate it, or like don't understand it, or say it's fake. I think like if you just know how to use it, like it'll serve you for the better. You just gotta look at it from the right lens.
totally. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, exactly. It's another place for synchronicity. And well, beautiful. Well, I love to. We can start to close. Just we can always come back again, and
Of course.
this is available. And if you know any amazing people that you recommend to join us here as well, I welcome, because I really just this is all about spreading, the codes and the wisdom. Like I have on my altar right now, it says the words, "It's time to bring your codes to light." And I like really return to that way of feeling and thinking and sensing too, is like how we're coded, what is in our genetics on a DNA level, and as we activate beyond these limited ideas of like double helix, but I don't know if like I'm sure you're aware of like the 12 strand DNA. So yeah, we're all in that. We're all on our own level of what reactivating and all the intelligence within. And so we each have very unique codes and beautiful, abilities and superhero powers to bring. So this platform is for that. It's to,
Definitely a bunch of superheroes.
yeah. Beautiful, Morpheus. Well, thank you so much, and thank you for asking me a few questions
No, of
too.
course. I mean, might as well. And thanks for having me. It's super fun. I haven't done a podcast in a while, so I was super grateful for the opportunity. It's super dope.
Yeah, word. Well, yeah, some highlights will be available soon, and just so grateful for everyone who's tuned in today. Is giving thanks to all the beings that were with us and that remain with us and
Yes, definitely.
will
Thank
always
you.
go with us. Yeah, blessings, blessings. Thank you, Morpheus.